everyone doing? Everybody ready for the 2025 dev survey? I'm interested to see it. I've only looked at the first page. I haven't looked anywhere past that, so that's I mean, I looked at it because I opened it up. I haven't actually even really read anything but the profile square. That's it so far, but we'll see. I mean, I guess it's the three squares that I can see at the very top. So there you go. That's what I've seen of it so far. You all ready? Excited for it? Nervous? I'll give everybody just a minute or two more, and then we'll dive in. See what we can't learn. What I am going to be interested in hearing is if these sentiments reflect that of your own. So as we go through this, I would love to hear from you, or if you're watching this after the fact, please leave a comment in the YouTube video and let me know if what you see here is reflected in what you yourself are feeling, or if you think something's kind of off base. Sometimes surveys are always a really interesting thing with how you ask the question, who you're asking, the demographic and whatnot on how they're going to respond, which actually makes them really interesting, because when you'll look through this, there's going to be people from different countries answering the same survey, and different cultures answer surveys differently, and different people approach the questions differently. So anyways, I'd be very interested in understanding if you share the same sentiments, or if you think something was wildly off. So let me know. If you are watching this after the fact, you know what? You can join us live. It's a lot of fun. I spend time doing it. If you'd like to join us live, feel free more than welcome. Those are words, but they don't really make sense altogether. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right. Before I screw up some more English. All right. The 2025 Developer Survey is the definitive report on the state of software development. It's 15th year. I didn't realize it's been 15 years. It's probably been here I've always had it since I've been a software engineer. I haven't been a software engineer for 15 years yet. 10 years. 10 years. So it's been a thing since before I was a software engineer. That's cool. All right. Received over... So about 50,000, 49,001. That's what this plus means. There was one past it. I know how to read this. When people say they're over 6 feet, it means like they are 6 foot and literally measured a hair. From 177 countries across 62 questions focused on 314. How did you ask 62 questions about 14 different things? That's pretty fantastic. Including new focus on AI agent tools, LLMs. I'm actually really interested in seeing this. I feel like these are the information that I have. This is the type of stuff that I'm really interested in seeing, and I think that people don't. I don't think people put enough credence on how people feel about stuff. Like part of me says, I don't care how you feel, like, let's just get the work done. We're professionals. But also when people feel empowered, when they feel like they're doing work that's worth it, when they feel happy about the stuff they're doing, they tend to do their best work. They tend to work the fastest and hardest. And so I actually think it's really important to understand how people are feeling about it. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so lots of countries. US, Germany, India. This doesn't actually surprise me. These would be what I consider the heaviest locations of software engineers. So it kind of makes sense. I actually thought India would be higher, but I probably just don't. India and China would be the ones that surprise me, but they probably just don't take surveys a whole lot. Respondents learning to code use YouTube for community more than professional developers. Ooh. When people are scared that the company is watching them 24/7, they do their best work. Do you know what? I actually contend that they do worse work then, because they do a lot of work that looks like they're doing work. But you know, that would be my contention to that. But yeah. This is an interesting one. People like YouTube for learning and community. Interesting. I don't know how to read this graph. I guess this is of all respondents, where do you like learning? People go to Reddit to learn. Interesting take on this, because I don't consider Stack Overflow a place I go to learn. I go to Stack Overflow when I have a problem, right? It's different than learning. I guess you do learn from other people's experience, but I don't like go there to take a class and learn a new topic, right? I go there because I had a problem, and I guess that is learning. But I wouldn't have rated it as a place I go for learning. But I have not heard the NASA news. No. Oh, you? No, I haven't. What spicy? Did they actually release something like that? Do I need to go and look that up? Drop a link in the Discord. Sergeant Pepper, how are you doing? For all of you wondering, if you're watching this on YouTube, the link for the Discord is in the description of the video. If you want to join it, more than welcome to. If you don't join it. Sergeant Pepper, I totally understand. All their staff are on warning about job loss, and they sent out a communication stating they are surveilling them to prevent leaks. Oh boy. Okay. I will have to look that up. I'll report on that news later this week. I'll have to go look it up and roast them. That's my professional job title now. Honest. Now I want to do an honest ad about working at NASA. Positive sentiment towards AI tools has decreased in 2025. I'm going to say that I've taken my stab at doing this. Contrary to usage, positive sentiment towards AI tools has decreased in 2025. 70% plus in 2023, and now just to 60%. Professionals are showing a higher overall favorable sentiment than those learning to code. Interesting. So professionals are feeling better about it than those that are learning to code. I wonder if that stems from people who are learning to code, who are trying to get into the job market, have more negative towards it. I could see that, honestly. I definitely could see why they might. It's not that they dislike using it. It's more about their overall sentiment as well. More than 1/3 of respondents used AI-enabled tools to learn AI this year. That's interesting. I actually haven't used an AI tool to learn AI. I haven't used AI to learn yet, really. I actually don't know that AI is a great learning tool. I've been on the fence about it. Like, part of me says yes, part of me says no. "69% of agent users agree AI agents have increased productivity." This is actually really interesting because they're going to say this, but like, let's look at the graph. AI agents have reduced the amount of time spent on specific development tasks. This is not super. Okay, why? Okay, so we have 30% strongly agree, 40% somewhat agree. Who made this graph? Who made this? Who makes green as the negative? I am sorry, I read this flipped because who made this graph? When you strongly disagree, you put that in red. That is how it has always worked. Okay. So red is just somewhat agree. Okay. Please, Stack Overflow, get with me. I think you made an AI make this chart. Like, I think this was coded with AI. This is not how the color scheme goes. It would be green, blue, yellow, orange, red. That's like how it goes. You like did it all mixed up. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty good when you ask it really pointed question. Well, so that's my point. And this is the reason I have struggled with using AI to learn. Is I find AI to be the most useful when I can narrow down on the exact, when I'm actually really good at the topic that's at hand, and I can ask it really pointed questions, and you can do this with a language you don't know because all computer languages follow a lot of the same logic. They have flow control, they have those types of things. So like, I'm not saying that you can't use it to extend your knowledge into areas or large code bases that you're not super familiar with, but you're doing it as a really skilled engineer. And why I say that I'm struggling with leveraging it to use it to learn is because if you're using it to learn, like a topic you really don't know at all, I have found that it lies too much, and then I'm just always mistrusting what it does. And if I try to use it to learn, what I end up doing is asking it questions and then Googling the things that it says. And maybe that's an acceptable way of doing it, but I also would just prefer to go to somebody who is an expert and see their 20-minute class on YouTube to get me those same answers that I can go Google myself. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm strange in that way, but that's where I haven't quite found it a useful tool to leverage. I also really like really intelligent people that write books like this. Designing data intensive Martin Kleppman is a brilliant person and just writes a fantastic. Like, I start here. And then, I go and explore and whatnot. I'm not sure. Anyways, we'll see. "99% of Stack Overflow developer survey users disagree graphs have completed the data in green." Welcome. Welcome to the chat. You guys are killing me. I love it when it lies to me. It feels like I'm asking a sibling. Oh, gosh. Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code both maintain their top spots for development environments used for the 4th year. Wow, Visual Studio is up there? I actually didn't expect this. I expected Vim, or I'm assuming Vim and NeoVim are in the same place. I expected it to be up here. I expected it to be... Wait. I don't know how to read this graph. Am I just really bad at charts? I guess it can add up to more than 75. I guess this was one that you want to know a secret? This is the first year in a long time that I didn't actually take this survey. I didn't do it. I was too busy and I didn't take it. This must have been where you could select multiple, right? Because this I'm not very good at math. Not a very good mather, but I do believe this adds up to more than 100%. VS Code's ranking is directly proportional to the number of developers with skill issues. Shots fired. Shots fired. No, actually, this is higher than I would expect. 24% of people using Vim and NeoVim seems kind of high. That does absolutely seem kind of high, to be honest. I feel like this is out of proportion. I feel like people put what they think they'd like to use, that they feel like they would be skilled. I mean, 30% of people using Visual Studio feels off too, right? Because like, I don't know that many people that program on Windows. I know that there are, and I know a few, but like, I think it's not 30, maybe total it's 30%. And not all of those would use Visual Studio. So I don't know, this graph feels weird and maybe off to me. Oh, Stack Overflow is maybe a little biased to the Windows Microsoft group. Maybe that's what it is. I was gonna say it just felt a little. Just thinking about the numbers seems a little high. More developers actively distrust the accuracy of AI tools than trust it. This makes sense. I mean, I have worked very hard to prove why you should distrust what they generate. And they generate stuff like that by design. You want the hallucination. Everything they come up with is quote unquote a hallucination. It's by design. So you should be highly, if you're these people here, I question your engineering. To be honest, you shouldn't trust it, and you can still be more productive with it without trusting it. You could be in the somewhat trust or somewhat distrust. I'm probably in the middle of these two. I'm in the I don't trust it, but I trust it to do something and be able to work with that. A high majority of developers are Windows. You know, I guess you're talking about like the enterprise group. I don't do much with like like if you're talking about like the big banks, if you're talking about the big healthcare and those, I don't do a whole lot in big healthcare, big banking, big, automotive. You're true. You're right. I don't do a whole lot in those. So that's a fair statement. Enterprise and gaming. Gaming, I wouldn't think is big Microsoft though. Like even your Unreal Engine people, I guess they probably use VS Code. Not VS Code, Visual Studio. I never used Visual Studio with Unreal Engine, but I'm just not a big Visual Studio person. Russell, I was putting you down as one of the people, so that I knew that ran Windows. I mean, and this makes sense because look, before I worked where I am, I worked at an open source Linux distribution. Before that, I worked at a place that had 10 engineers, 15 engineers. And that's been pretty much my entire career. Like, that's it. So it would make sense that I'm more biased towards one way of thinking, or the engineers that I've met and seen. Replaced with one 10x engineer, our entire engineering department. Yeah. Oh, that hurts. No, and don't plan to. I use AI exclusively. No, but I plan to. I'm probably in the in-between here. I don't use them professionally, and professionally, I think that they might be useful, but haven't gotten there yet. Architect is a new role they added to the survey. Okay, interesting. My role's not even on here. Well, I'm a lifetime student. So we'll go with that. UV is the most admired Stack Overflow tag technology. This is cool. They deserve it. I wouldn't have that wouldn't have been my thing, but like I think like of all of Python's issues, UV has been there probably the best. It's also I'm pretty sure UV is built in Rust, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I've been really enjoying it with MarineMo. Like with that, you can do these reproducible environments. It's actually pretty awesome. 1 in 4 developers are happy at their current jobs. This is company's fault. This is 100% the companies. You know, I don't have it right off the bat. You know, the reason this is a company problem is you have companies like Microsoft who are raking in more money than ever while laying off people and effectively giving them the middle finger. The big thing is I have not yet seen somebody that says that AI has done a substantial amount of improvement. There are speculations that it will in the future and speculations that these things will make huge improvements. But the best that I can tell you is that it's about a 5% productivity improvement. Not enough to be laying off people. But people are laying people off so that they can keep their funding and push buy more GPUs to push on AI and offer these huge payments to people like Windsurf to buy them out. That's pointing a finger at Google. So basically, you're giving the backbone of what built your entire company the middle finger, and people aren't going to feel happy, and they're not going to do their best work. It's something I don't think companies think about when they're doing these is how good will their workforce be after they do that? Let's say you reduce your workforce by 10%, but if the remaining 90% that you have is upset, you've actually reduced your workforce by 80%, 70%, or to 80 or 70%. Instead of just 10%, because you've actually caused chaos, turmoil, and whatnot. So I think companies should be paying attention to this more, but they don't. I had to deal with Python a lot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You had to deal with Python. You're at home alone with the kids. Sergeant Pepper, is anything going right in your life today or this week? Everybody support Sergeant Pepper in Discord. If Sergeant Pepper's in the Discord, I'm going to call you out. I don't know if Sergeant Pepper's in the Discord. Nearly 1/3 of developers are working remote this year. Seems about in line. Claude Sonnet is the most admired AI model. I would have guessed this. I feel like I actually prefer OpenAI's models from the testing that I've done. But I know that a lot of people like Claude Sonnet. I know that they really like. I actually think Cursor made people like Claude Sonnet. This is actually why I feel like I don't love Claude Sonnet as much as other people do. In the last AI games, I actually tested Claude Sonnet versus Cursor, and Claude Sonnet did much worse than Cursor because, you know, it's that reprompting and all those things that Cursor does under the hood. And so I feel like that made people like Claude Sonnet more than it actually is, but that's my personal feelings. I get it, why people believe that. 66% of developers are frustrated with AI solutions that are almost right. Oh my goodness. Oh no. Sergeant Pepper, I'm sorry. That does suck. Drop your, well, you can drop your resume in the Discord if you like. Python adoption grew. I expected this, yeah, right? Because this a lot of AI stuff is powered by Python. Python makes sense. Most developers have been coding for 10 plus years. I actually think that AI is going to make this harder, because if AI actually makes, my understanding, and I've been kind of honest with this, is the best people at leveraging AI are really good engineers. So like the benefit to your, you know, let's say this is our, you know, let's make this a little bit better. Let's make this a little bit better. So if this is like, you know, your senior dev here, and this is going to be like your principal or something up here, and this is like your junior, I actually think that AI is kind of bad for these people here. And maybe in your senior engineers, kind of good. And then like your really good engineers, it's good for them. Maybe something like this. This is AI effectiveness. I can't actually share any data that I have on this. But I do have data to kind of support this right here. But what this means is that you make these people much more useful. And one of the things that's really challenging here is, and I've actually said this in the industry for a long time, is these people demand too much money. They demand too much for their use because they are actually, they get paid very close to what some of these people do. And I much rather have a senior. I'd much rather have a senior than I would a junior. They're just going to hit the ground running. They've already gotten their training wheels taken off. And with AI, they're going to be even more useful, whereas these people aren't going to be more useful. So it's going to make being a junior harder, and I think the entire industry needs to focus on this because we need these people. We need these people because we're going to get old and die off. That's what's going to happen. So I think that something the industry needs to think about. Desire to use AI is in the inverse of that. You're probably not wrong. But yeah, I actively am not sure that AI is good for learning. I'm not sure. Ooh, Cargo is the most admired cloud development and infrastructure tool. Wait, are we talking about the same Cargo? Cloud development and infrastructure tool. Are we talking about the same Rust growth is directly tied to the success of its build tool and package manager Cargo, which is the most admired cloud development and infrastructure tool this year. I don't understand these words. Cargo is not a cloud development and infrastructure tool. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Cargo. I think Cargo is really cool. But it's not the same thing as Terraform. Like, Terraform and Homebrew are not, these things are not the same. They don't solve the same problem. I'm not sure. This is cool. I feel like apt and make are also not okay. It's fine. I love Cargo. I'm on board with this. Maybe people write really complex build.rs files for infrastructure. They're taking infrastructure as code a little too far. Yeah, like I said, apt is like, I realize you could probably do all of these things with Cargo, apt, and make, but like, these aren't really the same tools. Why isn't Pac-Man on here? Like, really, Pac-Man should be on here. I'm confused, but it's fine. It's okay. Developers at all levels are exploring the evolving AI landscape through Stack Overflow. Biased. GitHub is this an ad? Or is this actually like... I feel like this is an ad. All right, we'll move on. GitHub is the most desirable collaboration tool. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, everyone, English. GitHub is a more desirable tool. I just can't read today. GitHub is a more desirable collaboration tool than Jira this year. Jira is where people go to suffer. Did Jira surpass GitHub? Wait. Jira steps down as the most desired tool for code documentation and collaboration? Really? I'm not saying most used, but like, I've never documented code in Jira. Like, if we're talking about code documentation, it has never been in Jira. Jira has always been a place to orchestrate work. And most of us use it because we have to, not because we want to. This boggles my mind. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys could not see that. Sorry. This kind of blows my mind. Confirmed. Devs are filling out Stack Overflow developer surveys with AI. Doxygen. It's been a long time since I've seen that tool brought up. This is interesting. I would not have called I missed it. Stack Overflow is becoming a new resource for developers that need to solve AI related issues. Warning, advertisement. 84% of respondents are using AI tools this year. No duh. Stack Overflow is a destination developers visit frequently. I mean, like, so these are really biased, and I actually don't like that they put them on here, the Stack Overflow ones, because people filling out a Stack Overflow survey are probably people that use it. The people that infrequently use it are probably not filling out the Stack Overflow survey. So it's not a very, like, when you're coming up with surveys, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to say this like I'm good at surveys, and I'm not. But I know that I'm not because of stuff like this. When you're doing surveys, like you have to make sure that you're not leading the witness. You're not leading them to what you want to hear. You have to make sure that you're wording them in a way that's not biasing them towards an answer. You have to make sure that, you know, like there's a bunch of stuff that you have to think about. And one of them is if you're asking a useful question. I don't think that this is a useful question. You can't gain anything from this because it's asking people that are at Lowe's if they shop at Lowe's. Well, they're at Lowe's, right? So yes, they shop at Lowe's. It is the answer. Like, congrats. I don't know. You are awful at surveys. That's exactly what you are meant to do to confirm your bias. Right. That's actually like a really like, and don't get me wrong. I'm not like hating on the whole survey or anything. I'm just saying like these type of ones right here, they are at best confirming your own bias, at worst useless. At best useless, at worst confirming your own bias. They're just not. They're not useful, and they're misleading to people like you and me that's reading it. Not you guys, because you guys are smart, but me, I'm kind of mid, and so sometimes I get tricked. They need a keyboard and typeface question too. They don't, because we all know the best typeface and keyboard. Just don't say it. We all know what one it is. Keep it to yourself because we all already know. So just keep it to yourself. Is our new AI product either amazing, brilliant, awesome, fantastic, or the best thing released this year? Exactly. That's kind of the anyways, I am just giving you my opinions as I go through. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. Surveys are really, really difficult, and getting good information is really difficult. I've actually been helping doing our developer surveys in my current company, and the amount of work that goes into making a survey that actually gets you useful information is a ton of work, and I'm not good at it. So anyways, there's a lot that goes into it. Sergeant Pepper, I said to keep it to yourself. We all know it's hack. You didn't have to say anything. Just stirring the pot. We know that you brought that up, Berkeley Mono, because you just knew it would raise people's feathers because we all know it's hack. So. All right. The developers. He thought it was webdings. I always called them wingdings growing up, just because I can't read, and like I have gotten much better at reading. I know it would surprise you. You're a terrible reader. I was even worse. Like growing up, true story, couldn't read until I was like 13. And reading has always been a immense struggle for me. And that's actually why, like, a lot of the times you see I have a really large font, because that helps me read. But we're enough about me. When I was growing up, the first time I saw wingdings, the only thing I could think of is like, hey, this is what words look like to me. Good job. Anyways, it's just completely useless information. It gets better as you grow up, at least for me. Oh, I am talking about wingdings then. I am actually talking about wingdings. That they were called that. Fantastic. Temporas. I was just rambling about an actual thing. I was gonna say I read it. What was it? Webdings. I've not seen webdings. I've only seen wingdings. Please get on the better useless font. Webdings also exist. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm learning stuff. Useless fonts. I don't know that it's useless. I don't know what it looks like. Of course it went there. Moving on to coding, the developer survey meant to explore insights for those that code. A majority of respondents, 76, are professional developers. Okay, makes sense. You're visiting a professional. This I would expect nothing else. Age. Okay, let's see professional developers. Interestingly, yeah, this seems about right. I really wish I could see this from last year. I mean, this is what you expect, you know, like as you get on in age, you usually are in your career. Now you have some people that are changing careers, and that's great and that's cool. And then but like a lot of people are at the start of their career learning to do their career. So like I think that this makes a ton of sense as it is. Also kudos to these people. It's so much harder when you've already had 35 years of learning something else. Kudos to these people. You should cheer them on. Professionals using AI. Oh, by age. Interesting. So the younger group is more apt to use AI. This goes to our fear, right? The younger engineers are flocking towards AI, and really it's these people that should be leveraging it more. Although this is actually a difficult one because this is not their tenure. I would have preferred this by tenure, right? Like, I want to know the people that have been based off of coding for 20 years. We actually don't know. This is their age. They could have been coding for 1 year. Now, we could cross-reference this to professional developers, you know. I don't actually like this. I don't know the information to take from this. It probably has that later on. Okay. Cool. Top countries, cool. United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You know, I don't know why people get BS degrees. I feel like people should stop getting BS degrees and get some like real degrees. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that people would go and pay all that money to get a BS degree. I don't know what people are talking about. Like, either go and get a real degree or like don't go and waste your money. That's my advice. I know it stands for Bachelor of Science. Before you say anything, I was teasing. I was being sarcastic. So my son, before he knew that the abbreviation BS existed, referred to his blood sugar. He was born type 1 diabetic, referred to his blood sugar as his BS. So his BS levels would be high, which just killed my wife and I when he would be like, I I have I have high levels of BS. And we would just both be like, good for you, bud. Good for you. Let's work on that. Let's bring those BS levels down. That was fantastic. Yeah. It was he doesn't use it anymore, but it was terribly cute when your 6-year-old son comes up to you in the middle of some event, just tells you that with a straight face. Elementary school. Wait. I feel like my daughter took this survey. Dad, I'm surprised you're not a diabetic. How high your BS is. All right, moving on. Let's see. Professional developers. Seems like a lot of us have gotten a bachelor's degree. Mine, I do have a BS, but not in software. I started taking, I don't know if any of you guys have had this, and like I didn't get accepted into, I actually wanted to go to Georgia Tech, supposedly a pretty good school. I wanted to go to Georgia Tech. I didn't get accepted into Georgia Tech because I was told, at that time, I was working as a senior engineer at SUSE. And I was told that I didn't have the curriculum to get a master's in, so like I have my undergrad in other stuff. I have a bachelor's of science. And I thought that my work experience, but I guess for Georgia Tech, it wouldn't count. So I didn't get my master's degree, but I took it from another less reputable school, and I'm not going to throw them under the bus because like, whatever. But I found I hated it. And the reason I hated it was I would literally do whatever assignment was the night before with no research. And I got like a passing grade. And I really wanted to learn something, but I found that I wasn't learning something. And so like, yeah, whatever. Anyways, that was my experience with a master's degree. These people here have the humility. I have talked to too many PhD students that believe they have already mastered many things. I want to call these 1.2% out as being the people I would like to work with. These are the PhD students that I would like to work with. To be fair. $45% of developers responding to the developer survey this year have been coding less than 10 years. 45% of responding to developer survey this year have been coding less than 10 years. 45, okay, I don't understand. 45% of developers responding to the developer survey this year have been coding for less than 10 years. Okay. These two categories? Yeah, so more than 50 years. These people have seen stuff. These guys, these people were punch carding it. Oh, this is a cool breakdown. So like of the 35 to 45 year old people, we have, 20 to 30 years. So I am in the, let's see, 11 to 15 years in the 33 percentile for my age group. Not bad, not bad. A significant 69% of developers have spent time in the last year learning new coding techniques or new programming language. This actually is kind of needed in the industry. It's always been changing, even since I started doing it in 2015. Everything has changed. Like in 2015 to 2020, it's completely different. You're thinking in 2015, it was just the first year of Kubernetes. It was just the beginning years of Go. Rust was a fledgling of a language at that time. So much has changed by that standards. Read the friendly documentation. Fantastic. Okay, so younger people have more in school overall. This is actually really cool that this stays the same. I actually think that's an interesting thing that like you would expect school to bump up for the younger people. They're learning more from school. And then as you go, the I'm going to say like middle of their career people are starting to flatten out the school. And you'll see that kind of go down as you go older. Okay, cool. I'm actually kind of impressed that technical documentation is so high for the younger, like the young mid-career versus the old mid-career. Cool. The left side of history commented, and then Sergeant Pepper commented. I don't see any other comments. You're right, Sergeant Pepper. We need more of that in general. The unwillingness to learn new languages like Rust is the reason we have too many things built in TypeScript and Python. That's right. I agree. Architect is a new role we added to the survey this year, and the fourth most popular role of the respondents. You're respondents. You live in the pond. Does this change a lot? I'm actually looking at like developer full stack and developer backend. Does the mix change depending on? Not a whole lot. I always find this interesting. I consider myself a backend with a ability to do full stack. Like I usually own whatever it is full stack. Now, usually why I'm helping is because I'm decent at the back end stuff, but like I don't know. Let's see. Is my job on here? Yeah, senior executive. Exciting. I'm not a senior executive. Actually mine is not on here. My job's not on here. My job's not on here. Entertainer is what I was going for. Middle management isn't on here. I thought middle management would be on here. We have engineering manager, but like no middle management. Have we just killed middle management? Is everything between engineering manager and executive gone? Senior executive? Not even like. Yeah, and where's streamer? Where is streamer? That's the retired group. The retired group is the streamer group. They're in retired. Where's washed up? I'm strongly in the washed up group. I once built a whole Kubernetes CI/CD pipeline for Node.js front end for microservices and Java. You know what? We need to get chat involved. I need to get better about this, and I want you guys to call me out. I need to get chat on screen when we're doing these things, to be fair. Let me maybe make this a little bit better. We don't need this, but it's fine. I need to get better about having chat on screen for people. Yeah. I managed for 5 years without help. Catering to the lowest common denominator is always an L take. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. We'll have to get streamer added to this, or washed up. I think washed up it's probably the better take. I had been assigning build failures to the director of engineering. Oh. Quick question for you guys. Real question. I want to know your honest. Do your director of engineerings partake in on-call rotations? I know that this is going to be a spicy take. I think they should. I think that your middle management should be technical enough to be able to do that. And I think they should. I chronically say that leading is more about doing than controlling. And I think that your middle management, that one of the best things they can do is to lead by example and to facilitate people to be the best that they can be. And I think that it's impossible for your middle management to fully understand the pains of the stack and the pains of the things that are going on if they're not actively a part of it. It doesn't mean that I think that your director of engineering needs to be in the throes of everything, but I do think that they should be able to do that. Russell, it's the same for me. To be clear, it's the same for me. I am not the first. I am the escalation path, but I am on call. So director run the pipeline in JavaScript so everyone on the team could contribute. Lowest common denominator is JavaScript. The build should have been in Helm, Terraform, or something else, so I built it. Not a single engineer wanted to contribute to it, even if it was JavaScript, then they could learn CI/CD. Therefore, catering to the lowest common denominator dev is a mistake. Use the right tool language for the tool always. Ah, I see. I see. I mean, this is also just a team thing. Teams need to own things as a team. One thing that I work very hard at is there is no lottery ticket of one. You know, you don't ever want that one thing. And that if that means you have to change how you're hiring to make sure that you fill those gaps. I be more than a full stack engineer, I like full stack teams. It doesn't mean that everybody on the team has to know everything, but the team should be able to deliver something from start to finish, right? So that means if there's a UI thing, the team should be able to deliver it. Whether everybody on the team is a React specialist, most people on the team can at least do the bare minimum of React. You know, a lot of people on my teams are back-end devs, classically. Does that mean that they never touch React? No. Does it mean that we're like really good at React if we have to go? No, but that's okay. We can do it. Oh, I mean, we are one of the leading HTMX shops in the world. In the world. Not, you know, almost no one uses HTMX as heavily as we do. I hate HTMX. Moving on. Most respondents learning to code are in the software development or higher education industry. Almost all of them are using AI to learn. I wonder, is there a good way, chat? Is there a good way for us to test this in the AI games this winter? I know that you guys have been giving some really good ideas on the AI games. I would like to test our ability to learn something, leveraging AI versus not. Actually, maybe that's a really good. We could actually do that. We could have a couple people that can't use AI and a couple people that can use AI. We do streamers, and we could pick topics that none of them know about. And we could have them write up a paper after 2 hours on what they know. Maybe we could do it. I don't know. We'll think about that. That doesn't sound like a fun thing to do. So we'll have to think of something maybe a little bit more fun. I don't know. I would like to test because I would like to know. My gut is that it's not a good thing for learning, but I can be wrong and I'm happy to be wrong. But that's my gut that that would be my gut feeling. This is an interesting chart. You have to be careful also. Only 1.6% were in the learning to code. This is not nearly as relevant as when 23,000 are in this one, right? You know, 1,000, 28,000. Yeah, you got to be careful about that. You hurt my heart. Twitch alerts right now is powered by HTMX. There was a bug with it. I still don't know what it is, where it didn't. A weird thing is, and I don't have a way to debug this, but HTMX has to have that back and forth to clear the screen. And if there was an interrupt to that WebSocket, it's just done. It won't refresh. Paper writing streams. You're not excited about that? You're not excited? Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know. We got to do it some other way, but I think it would be, I really want to know, like, is it a really good and useful tool? I don't know for learning. Programming, scripting, and markup language. After more than a decade of steady growth, Python's adoption has accelerated significantly. Could have called that. It saw a 7 percentage point increase from 2024 to 2025. This speaks to its ability to the go-to language for AI, data science, and back-end development. Which programming language, scripting, and markup languages have you done extensive development work in the past year? HTMX. Let's see. So I have Go and Rust here. So I'm in the 16th and 14th. I feel kind of special. Go.script right here. Nice. Bringing up the 3.3. It beat Fortran and Zig. I'm hoping to see I'm hoping to see Zig move up. I would like to see Zig become dominant enough to do it easier on microcontrollers. I was looking to do it on an ESP32, and it wasn't straightforward to get Zig to work with it, even though like it should compile with like the C and stuff. Like I felt like it should be easier than it was. I would love to do that. I love Swift. You guys know I'm a big Swiftie. So I wish it was more popular. This seems about right. I'm actually surprised that Rust is up at 14.8%. That seems high. All right. I need to let you guys know I'm a little biased when it comes to databases. I'm just a little biased. But let's see what this is. The significant growth rate usage for Redis, really? If you want, there is a database that can actually store your stuff on disk and access it just as fast as Redis can from its freaking memory. If you want a highly available database, don't use Redis. Like, Redis sucks to scale. Redis has, I'm going to leave it there. I'm obviously biased, but Redis was not my expectation here. Professionals, is it part of the AI? AI is using it. I'm wondering if they're using it for caching requests and responses. Like, you have the cached tokens and stuff. I'm wondering if this is what it's being used for. I would use just about anything before Redis. I can't say more because I am super biased. So like, I would just use just about anything before bias. I would use memcached before I use Redis. There's a decent number of... Okay, I would use Redis over Firebase. Firebase is how to have a security nightmare. Foundation DB. I would use Foundation DB before I used Redis. You know, I can go on. There's a lot of things I would use before Redis. So I think Redis is generally a pretty big trap because what happens is Redis has like a bunch of cool features. Like you can make message queues out of Redis, but don't do it. Don't use Redis for that. I did. I've learned the pain. I did a really cool system. I did a really cool system basically where this was early on in my career when I was making a lot of mistakes. So we had a lot of these edge sites, and this was before the days of Kubernetes, 2015. Just Kubernetes was just starting. And so like these were all the sites, and we had thousands. And in each site, each site had multiple devices. I'm gonna say somewhere around 20 to 30 devices at each site. This is kind of your classic edge. And so each site had all of these devices in their management. And the trick to all of this was that we needed to manage these all from the cloud. So we had the cloud up here. And up here in this cloud, because I was an idiot and I followed things, I said, we're going to have microservices. This was one of my mistakes, and why I tell you that while I like microservices for a specific thing, the entire engineering org of this company was 10 people. My team was 2 people. 2. So we had a microservice that was stateless. That these would create WebSocket connections to. Don't make fun of me. I was early in my career. I know I made mistakes that would make WebSockets connections to. And then we could update these devices. Like, these devices were actually devices we made. We made the firmware for them, and we could push updates to them and a whole bunch of really cool stuff. Like, just really cool stuff. We did actually some really cool stuff for being such an idiot. Now, the problem is we had, this service was a microservice. So when I wanted to update device B at site 27, which microservice had the current connection with it? Well, who knows? So what we did was we had this Redis basically just a message bus that would say, hey, I have a message for this one. And this would listen for site 27 and device 3. Like, and then it would pick this up and it would say, okay, well, there's this message, this thing that you need to do. This was a pain in the butt for the 5 years I managed it. This was a classic problem of failure. Part of it was me learning to actually leverage it properly, but like, holy crap. As an in-memory store, so in memory, if we're talking about in memory of these here, let me look through here. Let's look through here what I would use instead of Redis. Valkey. I would use Valkey before I used Redis. I would use ClickHouse. I would use Foundation DB, and I would use Aerospike. Aerospike has it in memory purely. If you're really wanting to use in memory, the great thing is a lot of these databases can perform just as well as Redis, while being on disk. That's the sad truth of it. At any amount of scale. I assume you're at scale, because if you're not at scale, Postgres can do it as well. Those would be the ones that I would point to. InfluxDB is probably okay. I've never used Firebase real-time database, but don't use Firebase. Like, just literally don't use Firebase. Now, I also have to say, my knowledge of Redis, I haven't used it for probably 6 years. 6 to 8 years. I haven't used it. So it has gotten better, for sure. And I'm biased. So again, take that for what it is. I've never ever talked to somebody that's loved using it, just in my personal experience. So I would probably avoid Redis. It's great until it's not. The other thing that I learned this kind of in my career, was to be good at one thing and do one thing well. I should never have done this with Redis. Like, I used Redis because Kafka wasn't as popular at the time, but Kafka would have done this type of thing better than Redis did because Redis was a in-memory database first. And so I have more adopted also like do one thing and do that well. And for that, like I don't like all the extra features of Redis because I'd like to just do something else, use something else. That's kind of just in my personal experience what I've come through. Hey, Gray Hatter, it's nice to see you. Just to be clear, I'm biased. I work for the company Aerospike. So when I say that, please understand that I'm biased. I like everyone knowing because my goal is not to sell you on something in this. This is my personal time that I'm spending here. It's not sponsored by any company or anything. So I want to be upfront and fair. I want to be... I mean, I tried to be as unbiased as possible. That's why I also put other things out there that I would use before it. Just typical world positional updates for player and peers within a proximity radius. That's actually a really cool issue, Sergeant Pepper. I am about to make some really stupid games as well. We should do a team up stream. Sergeant Pepper, you want to do that? Because you've been using Rust with Godot, and I want to use Godot. And before you say, oh, it's Godot, I realize you can pronounce it multiple ways. I choose Godot because if I say Godot, I forget there's a T on it. So, you know, that's how I learned how to spell it. We should do a team up. We should do a stream together. That would be fun. I've been creeping on lurking. They call it lurking. It sounds so much better on your streams. I am going to make the most hated game of 2026. That is my goal. My goal is to get more 1-star reviews compared to any other stars of a completely free, ad-free, monetary-free game. I want to get the most 1-star reviews of any game comparative to the number of people that played it. That's the goal of the game. And the whole goal of the game is to base it off of lag, like input lag. It's gonna be brilliant. It's gonna be brilliant. Russell's just upset that I had the idea, and it's gonna be so frustrating to play. It's gonna be horrible. 1-star Coder Studios. Oh no, it's struck again. We might be 1-star Coder Studios. We might be 1-star coders. The washed up 1-star coders. I haven't known you had the idea, just not out of jealousy. Oh. Oh, okay, that's pretty fantastic. That's pretty fantastic. I'm pitting that. Okay, an interesting database that just came to mind. I have never used it. I have never used it, so like this is just interesting. But they talk about it's the easiest way to build a multiplayer game. I don't know. They use Rust. It seems really cool and interesting. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that it is. I've never used it, but it sounds really cool because you could basically... I was actually thinking another game that I'd like to make is I'd like to make a MMO that's for the terminal. Like you all play from the terminal, which I think would be a ton of fun. And I thought if I did that, I would probably use Spacetime DB. Again, never used it before, but what you're saying, what you're talking about sounds like a Spacetime DB. I'm sorry, guys. I'm super nerding out right now because I try to stay up on database topics. And so when databases are brought up, I tend to devolve into database topics. I think how we store data is such a cool thing that I feel like we're just scratching the surface of right now. I feel like in 10 years, we're going to store data so differently than we do right now, just from the hardware and the software on top of it. It's very interesting, and I think always evolving. So I apologize we got hung up on this. I don't think vector databases are as interesting. I know, just vector databases I don't think are a real thing. I think vector databases are a lie. I know I'm just out here with hot takes. Vector databases are more of an index than they are a data storage thing, right? And this isn't entirely true. But a lot of it is more of how you look up data than it is of how you store the data. And this is why it's so easy to put on like PG vector and things like that on top of Postgres, is because it's more about the search index than it is anything else. And databases like Postgres have a ton of different ways to index your data. Most people don't do it or understand it or leverage it, but Postgres can index your data a bunch of different ways and store it slightly different ways as well. Now, the storage engine that is used usually benefits one way of using it or not, but like in the end, vectors are mostly a index. Not that, I mean, it's cool. I'm not downplaying it. It's actually cool. I do think it's cool. Just not as interesting as the whole kit and caboodle. I agree. I agree that their indexes do something really, really cool. I'm not downplaying that. Okay. I see. Cool. I didn't know that. You watched an. All right, let's talk about this. Dev, you watched another streamer before me. I'm hurt. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue. My worldview comes crashing down. What was his take? Was it good? Did you enjoy it? Oh, I'm the 5th streamer. All right. I'm going to have to up my game. I'm going to have to get a sign with my name on it. There you go. All right. Let's get back into this. Sorry for the Sergeant Pepper. Your problem seems really cool. If you're getting into it with Grey Hatter, we should definitely do a session. I would love to understand and see. All right. Subscription-based AI-enabled AIs weren't able to topple the dominance of VS and VS Code this year. Both maintain their top spots. I don't understand Vim being this high. I honestly don't. The fact that professional developers, it went down versus all, which is learning to code, and professionals that use AIs. Vim and NeoVim. Okay, I don't know how to read this because this adds up more to 100. I again, I'm not very good at math. I like charts that add up to 100%. I guess this was a multiple choice. You could select all of them. NeoVim is down here. Okay, so I guess you're just... This is really cool. I like Zed. I actually really like Zed. I'm glad that they've gotten this much. That's super cool. If I was to sell out for something right now that wasn't NeoVim, I think I would do Zed. Definitely not Rust Rover. Absolutely not Bolt. Please check all that apply. Yeah. So professionals that use AI are still leveraging VS Code. Actually, VS Code even gets a bump up in the percentage. I'm guessing that's from Copilot, right? Where's Cursor on here? Okay, 21%. Where's Notepad? Where's Notepad on here? No Notepad lovers? No Notepad enjoyers out there? What? Google Gemini is on the top. You know why? Because nobody knows how to get Google Gemini to work. Like, I know all the YouTubers that are out there loving on Google. I just want to ask them, like, have you actually tried to get it to work? Like, I'm pretty sure that the reason a database was deleted was because they were using Google Gemini in the back end. Like, I have never met such a dented model that has been touted as so good. Like, I have tried to get Gemini to do things in Google Cloud. What I thought would be a really great place for Gemini to work was Google Cloud. I thought that that would be where it would shine. And like, it's not once even hallucinated something that was even close to working. Like, it is maybe one of the most dented models I have ever used, other than One Star Coder, which was more dented. Google Gemini has been the absolute worst. This is one of the things that you have to look at when surveys. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing just because people looked it up on Stack Overflow. It doesn't mean that they're interested in it. It means they're having a problem with it right now. So people are having problems with Tailwind and Google Gemini. That works. I understand. This makes sense to me right now. People don't have a whole lot of problems with of and Microsoft Fabric because nobody uses Microsoft Fabric. Notepad++ isn't on. I don't know. You just use Vim still or NeoVim. Also, welcome to everybody chatting. You all are fantastic. Thanks for joining and going over this and giving your comments. Zed replaced VS Code for you? Absolutely. I love Zed. I literally... I think one thing Zed needs to do is the community plugins. Zed gets community plugins. I think Zed will start to topple VS Code. I really like Zed. Zed's dead? Why do you say Zed's dead? Also, NeoVim's ability startup time is like directly proportional to how much you've configured it. Like, the more you've gone into NeoVim, the slower it is. Like, you know when there is a person who has really done NeoVim, because like when they start NeoVim, 24 cores, just all of a sudden, all the way at the top. That's it. It's booting. Pulp Fiction? I've never seen Pulp Fiction. I've never seen Pulp Fiction or the song that you're talking about. If you're wanting really large files, we tested it out. Helix is your editor. Helix will open 1 gigabyte files just fine. NeoVim does not do a very good job at it. Zed also does big files decently. It's not perfect, but Zed does them decently. NeoVim can do 1 gig, but we have to deactivate a whole bunch of stuff. Russell is so caught up on making an aggravating game. Russell, when you can program as well as I can, you have to understand that you can't shoot for the stars, because like I know that a lot of people really desire that like really polished gameplay. You know, like I think that what made you're a little bug running around in a dying kingdom, bug kingdom. What is it called? Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight. What made Hollow Knight so great was such the polished controls. And now I know that as I can't program a game type of game dev, that I can't do that. So what I can do is make really janky controls. And so what I have to do is embrace that I'm going to make really janky controls. So what if I just start out by saying I meant to make the janky controls on purpose? See, that's the metagaming. When you know you're that's what you've got to do. That's what you've got to do. You've got to know your abilities and program based off of that. I really like Hollow Knight. Okay, who's with me that Ori 2 was horrible? It's like AI is explaining it to us. Oh no, don't look at me. I've been exposed. Oh, I can't slide up. I can only slide down the chair. I need to work on that. Need to work on my abs. Ori 2 is terrible. I did like the first Ori, just not the second. Ori 2 is a different game. It's literally a different game. And not in a good way, in my opinion. Community platforms: Stack Overflow, GitHub, YouTube. I gotta make my YouTube videos. I gotta do that. I'm actually going to I'm actually releasing a video here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm actually going to pose an important question to the people that watch it, because the people that watch this first video, since I've been gone for a year of making YouTube videos, are probably going to be the people that care. And so like if you care, make sure you to watch it and leave a comment, because I'm actually going to take it seriously. Basically, I have two different things. I have some education content and some funny content. it won't make a difference to me whether I split them into 2 different channels or I keep them in the same channel. Everything in YouTube themselves and their guides, and the people that I watch that say they know how to YouTube well, say you don't want to mix those 2 contents. But I don't know. So I'm going to just post it to the community. I'm making a funny video about me being gone for a year because, well, I was gone for a year. Stuff happened. And I'm going to pose that exact question to people. And the people that care are going to be the people that respond. So be ready to respond, because I keep going back and forth, and I'm like, I'm tired of going back and forth. I don't really care. It doesn't affect me either way. The funny content is fun. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy mocking things that are ridiculous. The educational content I enjoy doing because I like helping other people. So like, I want to do both. It's not going to be overhead to have 2 different channels if that's what people would like. Is that what people want? I'll do it. If it's not what people want, they want to just be in one channel, that's what I'll do. I'll do it. There we go. Rant over. TED Talk done. Community platforms. YouTube, Reddit, Stack Exchange, Discord. That's cool. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so weird. I didn't realize LinkedIn was a social network for the longest of time. I actually wanted LinkedIn to be much different than what LinkedIn came out to be, whether it's good or bad. Medium is dead. LinkedIn is dying. These 2 are dying in my books because of the AI slop that's on them. Like, literally, AI slop is killing these 2. Hard. Very, very hard. I haven't seen it so bad in Hacker News, in Discord. I've seen it a little in Stack Exchange. Reddit is just... I can't believe that Reddit is this high. I can't believe Reddit is this high. I was away for a year in Agile jail. Russell, I think you'll appreciate the follow-up video. I have an explanation for why I was gone, which I make ridiculous claims. But I also, in all of that, explain like all the stuff that's gone on in my life, just at a high level. Large language model. OpenAI's ChatGPT model, top of the large language model list, with 82% of developers indicating they use them for development work in the past year. Anthropic's Cloud Sonnet models are used by more professional developers than those learning to code. Like I said, I think that this comes down to Cursor. I really do. Yeah. I think Cursor really made Sonnet what it is. I don't know. Like, I've never loved Reddit. And I've never used it as like a community for like, we could have a Null channel, like a Null Labs Reddit, but like, is that better? I don't know. Maybe people would like it. Maybe in the future we do it. Maybe when I'm really washed up from my day job, we go full Reddit. I love seeing this. GitHub as code documentation. Thank you. Documentation should live where the code is. Amazing. Amazing. I love this. Jira, you do not document code in Jira. I don't know. Wait, which collaborative work management and or code documentation? I don't know who put Jira as this. I mean, I guess it said use regularly. And if it had Jira, I would click it. Okay, I get why they're saying this. I used it regularly. But it's not... It's work management, sure. It's not code documentation. Why do they clump these 2? Why did they put work management and code documentation tools all in one? It doesn't make sense to me. Who used Obsidian for... I guess for code documentation, maybe? Okay. See, now you have to guess what they're using it for. I don't like how they did this. Let's move on. I don't love that. Reddit seems like 4chan for people who can think. What? I don't know about that. I don't know if you and I have been experiencing the same Reddit. Not sure. Stack Overflow confirmed Windows user base. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Ubuntu. Okay. They didn't just they didn't just group all the respondents for Linux. We'll have to do this. 27% here, 17 or 16% here, 10% here. Oh, I guess I actually don't use Arch for the professional. For professional, I use Ubuntu. I was scared of the stability, although I think I might use it now. Like, I feel like it's stable enough. Who's using the iPad? What is the primary operating system in which you work? People responded with Android for professional use. I guess these are probably like Android devs, right? I'm hoping that these are like iOS devs and they're using it to like test their application. Yeah, I'm hoping that's what this is. Oh, Rust. Oh, Rust. 72% admired, only 29% desired? What? What? That should be up here. It should be all desire it. Literally all. Let's see. Where is Haskell on here? I feel like Haskell should also be really desired. I didn't see it. Ooh, OCaml? That's... I don't know if that's better. That seems decent. Well, Elixir's done fairly well. Look at that. Oh, nice on Zig. Nice on Zig. I don't see Haskell. Oh, Nightbot, calm down. Mojo. Look at that. Mojo's getting its mojo on. Databases, we know this is cooked. They don't have the best databases in here. Only the popular ones. Oh, only the ones people actually use. I have to say, this makes me happy. This is pretty cool. Which databases have you done extensive development work in over the last year, and which ones do you want to work with over the next year? Okay, yeah. So people like to work with Postgres, and a lot of people work with it. Thanks for joining. Have a wonderful week coming. Yeah, this next week. Have a wonderful one. SQLite is also pretty good. I'm happy with these two on the top. A little Squirrel Light is not bad. This one, and this one hurt me. I understand the appeal of MySQL from like. I understand. I wish Cassandra would do better. I think right now its Java roots are hurting it. I actually think the Cassandra rings are really, really cool. Like, I think Cassandra has done, like, Cassandra technically scales infinitely. You know, the problem is, so does its tail latency. You know, like, as Cassandra scales, so does its tail latency. But I think that it's really cool. The other one that I'm looking up or like keeping my eye on is ClickHouse. You know, of the up and coming databases, ClickHouse is one that I'm keeping my eye on. I think that I have to experiment with it. I got to do some project with ClickHouse. I actually want to do a series where we actually make a production grade thing and we iterate on it. I was actually thinking about making a URL shortener and like publicly hosting it and making it available. Maybe we could use ClickHouse for the database for that. It'd be a good learning experience for that. It's done some pretty interesting thing, won some pretty interesting contracts, and like it did they got that one thing from Cloudflare leveraging it to fix a problem. So like that's actually pretty cool. Yeah. Docker, AWS, Kubernetes, NPM, pip for cloud development. Publicly available URL shortener. I don't understand what you're saying. What's wrong with a publicly available URL shortener? I thought we would build it on stream and then I would make it like a series out of everything that goes on, because like a lot of people will like, a lot of YouTubers will see like, oh, here's how you make a URL shortener, but like it doesn't go through scaling and those types of things and managing users and whatnot. And so I thought like a really cool thing would just to be to make one and like make it actually available and then iterate on it. And when you have failures, like go over it and like you can actually show the people the code and stuff. It's going to be abused instantly. Perfect. Then let's add stuff to keep it from being abused, right? Like that's the idea. Like, because people don't ever see that in the, software engineering is so easy. Like we just made a URL shortener. Great. But like, there's so much more than just that, right? Absolutely. But I mean, like that's the whole point of like making a production ready anything is a whole lot more work, even if it's something that's really simple. A URL shortener is just a hash map. Like it's just a hash map. How do you scale a hash map? You don't very easily. So then you have to do something to scale that. You got to put it in a database, and then you put it in a database, and then you realize that you're hitting a ton of reads and not a ton of writes, and now you're wanting to look at a caching system to cache, the really hot reads. And then you're like, these are the steps that you take, and I think it would be a really cool series to do where we make a stupid simple service and we iterate on making it actually not suck. Firebase. Don't use Firebase. Please, for the love of all things good, don't use Firebase unless if you just want to throw your customers' data straight into the void. Like, just give it away. Put a for free sign at the start of your company. You have data for free for people to leverage. I very rarely go after a technology so hard, but Firebase has proven over and over again that is what Firebase does. Web frameworks and technologies. Which web frameworks and web technologies have you done extensive development work in over the last year, and which do you want to do work with? I feel like what you see here is these, like Axum. I actually really like Axum. But what you see is a very immature community. And when you get this tightening where these two are closer together, you have a more mature one that's used by more people. This people really like, but they're not used professionally very much. So you have this big band where it's like, yeah, people actually really like Axum, but it's just not used a whole lot. Where a lot of people use React, and a lot of people like it because, and so like you get that tightening of the band. I feel like that's true here. I'm not sure if that's my read on this. What are your guys' favorite ones out of this? I think Axum is probably mine. I want to like Svelte. I've played around with it. Maybe I just need to do an actual project in it. I don't know. I'm just I know React, and so it's like so easy. Wait, where is oh no. Is my web framework not here? Blazor's here. If Blazor's here, it's not here. Is it really that low on the list? Dev IDEs. Zed. Okay, yeah, we already covered that one. We already covered that one too. Community platforms. We already covered that one. Large language models. We already covered that one. That was on the front page. And that one. This is really cool to see. I like all three of these languages. I know I'm a conundrum. I like Go, I like Rust, and I like C++. Go is a dumpster fire, but it's the dumpster fire we love. What's really cool is seeing where people are coming from. You'll notice that Rust has more people coming from like Bash, SQL. Why is SQL in here? Where's Java going? The Java people just want to be in TypeScript. Java people just want to be in TypeScript. That's it. There's some JavaScript people that want to be Java that want to be TypeScript. These people that want to be Java just don't know that they want to be TypeScript yet. And those people don't know that they want to be Rust yet. Like, that's how this goes. You start as JavaScript. You move to Java. You make so many factories. You're like, please, for the love of all things good, let me get out of this. Let me go back to JavaScript. But I don't want to just go back to JavaScript. I want to have JavaScripts with the types that I've learned to love from Java, but I just want to get rid of my factories. You hit TypeScript, and then you're like, transpiling sucks. I just want a language that does it right from the start. And you go to Rust. That is the full mental model from here, left to right. That's the full mental model, left to right here. Then Oracle sees you're coming and you have to find a new place to work. No, HTMX was just so high at the top of this. That's what I was looking for. HTMX was at the top. It got 100%, and they thought, jolly gee willikers, we can't put that in because it looks like it's fake data, because everybody just wants to use HTMX. I didn't realize it was so not used. I didn't know that my videos on why I dislike it swayed people that much. MySQL, MongoDB, and Microsoft Server, they just want to use Postgres. They just want to use Postgres. Give me Postgres. Leave me alone. This surprises me. I mean, Postgres is more complicated than SQLite. If your data can sustain leveraging SQLite, I would stay on SQLite. I would just do that. HTMS doesn't render on the graph. You'd rather stand up and manage Postgres than you would SQLite? Really? I feel like I wouldn't. Now, like, don't get me wrong. Postgres will have a whole lot more, like, Postgres is going to have a ton more benefit when you're talking about like some scale and data integrity with replications and stuff like that and data on disk. But and for those reasons, like those are business reasons though. If I have those business reasons, I'll absolutely move to Postgres. But if I can get away with it, I'd rather use SQLite, in my opinion. I respect that. I respect that statement. But for the 10 extra minutes, you could use another database. That's a really real database. I don't know. Let's see. NPM. Wait. Which cloud platforms, containerization, orchestration tools, package managers? Okay, I really don't like this. I really don't like. They combined too many things. Like, they combine package managers with build tools and orchestration tools. These are very different things. And like, I don't even understand how you could say that people want to go from NPM to Cloudflare. That doesn't even make sense, right? This does not make sense. I'm sorry, but I actually think that I I'm speechless. This doesn't make sense to me. I use NPM, but I'd rather use Kubernetes. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does this chart even mean? One second. I got to put a marker in here. I'm just like, which cloud platforms, containerization, orchestration tools, package managers, build tools, and infrastructure as code solutions have you done extensive development work over the past year, and which do you want to work on over the next year? If you both worked with the platform and want to continue doing so, please check both boxes in that row. They grouped up too many things into one thing. Pip has no relation to Kubernetes. Like, you don't use Pip or Kubernetes. It's not one or the other. This is workload orchestration. This is a package manager. This would make sense if even to Docker, it doesn't make sense because most of the time when you're building the Docker container, you use pip if you're making a container that's like Python. What would make sense here is if people use pip and they want to use YUV or UV. I don't know how to say it. That would make sense. This doesn't. This doesn't make sense at all. I'm sorry, people use cloud. Like, this makes sense. People are on the cloud. The cloud sucks, especially Google Cloud. Azure's on here too. Uh-oh. Not AWS, but the cloud sucks, so they just want to run it in Docker on their thing. But this doesn't make sense at all. This doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I'd like you guys to help me explain what this means, why they made this a thing with all these different things. Because in my opinion, this doesn't work. And actually, I've seen this, we've seen this now a couple times in this survey where the actual questions and the actual responses and things don't quite make sense to at least me. Am I reading this wrong? I'd love to know your information on it. I understand that once they're fluent enough in NPM, they want to master containerization. This would make sense. This would make sense. I actually think, hot take here from a Kubernetes aficionado, I actually think that there would be a lot of people that would be better off using Beanstalk. But that's just me. I understand what you use and what you'd like to use, but these don't make sense. You don't use NPM and want to use Kubernetes. Like, they made this flow, they made this chart looking like they want to move from one thing to the next. But I use Vim and I want to use Python doesn't make sense, right? I guess you could just look at it as people that use pip also want to use Kubernetes. I guess you could say it that way, but I don't know that that's very informative. Like, I don't know that this is very informative, except that people learning to code use NPM and they want to use cargo. That makes sense. That makes sense. This one makes sense. Totally makes sense. I use a carb, but I want to eat ice cream instead. Exactly. That's what I was reading it as. Nobody wants to use Express. That's fair. Vue doesn't get enough love. Next gets too much love. Node.js is your path from Express to the rest of the world. Dev IDEs. Let's check this out. Notepad++. This is when you know you're looking at the professional developers. They all want to leave, but they can't leave. But they can't leave. It's just too good. You know, I know a lot of people in the community actually really like IntelliJ IDE. I know I used it a long time ago, but I haven't used it a whole lot recently. Their pricing model got really, really rough. I didn't know how to spell it. Their pricing model got really rough, I feel like. No, thank you. Let's see. Store. No, let's go pricing. So, like, the thing that I hate is that I have to do the all because I do both Rust and Go, and they sell them in separate things. They sell them in their own separate things. So they force you to buy all 18 tools when I don't need all 18. I need, let's see, I need Rust Rover, I need WebStorm, and I need Goland. And so, like, to get those three, I have to buy all of them because buying them individually is like $100 each. So it's actually cheaper. But $300 for my personal time, like on stream and stuff, is just a little too much, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just a little too much. It's a little too much, and stuff like Zed are just really good. So now I do know. Now, if I have a developer that likes using this, absolutely, I'll get it for them if that's what they'd like to use. Because if it makes them a little bit faster, it's pretty easy to do that. But I'm just talking for my personal reasons. The reason I don't use it is it's just kind of expensive for what it is. That the code with me is actually kind of cool. I'll give them that. I actually think that's an unsung hero. Pig farming, that's what we're going with. I was actually looking at getting a couple head of cattle next year. I don't know if I will because they were a little expensive. And I don't want to get a bull and deal with that. pigs are kind of, they're difficult. They get under fences, so like you have to build like stuff to contain them, like really good stuff to contain them. Cows are a little bit easier. I don't care about those. Let's see. I think medium is dying. The AI slop is so bad on Medium and LinkedIn right now that, like, to me, I don't go on either of these platforms anymore. Medium was always like, you could find a gym, but like there's a lot of people that posted a lot of stuff like normal. But now the amount of AI slop that's posted every single day is just obnoxious. Like you can't even filter through the stuff. So I don't use Medium, and I'm pretty much off LinkedIn at this point. Reddit is our bastion. It was always AI slop. So like it's not gotten worse. So like AI slop couldn't make Reddit worse. So we're good. Discord, I've never had a problem with. I guess that's probably because there's communities that manage those types of things, and those communities seem to be a bit smaller. So, yeah. YouTube, I don't know about YouTube, if it's hit it so far. I've not been a big user of Stack Overflow recently. I do like GitHub as a social. I need to do better about making my GitHub a more social place where people can try and experiment things. I would actually like to make the Null channel GitHub a more social place. Like a lot of times I'm putting, maybe it needs to be a different one, but I would like for there to be more community involvement. There's stuff that I don't want community involvement on just because like I'm making it for a video or whatnot, like for a learning experience. It's not meant to be this grand thing. I don't know. Stack Overflow is dying? Maybe. I think they'll live on. I actually think that Stack Overflow has a really great business model to sell to AIs. So like stop selling ads to people and sell your data directly to AIs, because you already have people that are curating that data. Now, the only problem with that is if you don't make that known up front, people are going to revolt because they're going to give their hard-earned labor to moderate and do all of that, and then you're going to make money off of selling that to an AI. So I think that what you have to do is your top 25% of moderators and people that contribute, you have to actually pay them part of the proceeds. I think that's what you'd need to do. You know, I'm not part of Stack Overflow. It's just my free advice. Take it or leave it. The Stack Overflow moderators, Stack Overflow made one mistake. They made one big mistake that I think hurt them the most. Stack Overflow combined technical knowledge to moderation. And what I mean by that is basically if you were a tech nerd and you knew a ton, just astronomical amounts of knowledge, they put you in charge of moderating. This equated 1-to-1 with moderation. This was their big mistake. This right here was their astronomical mistake. Instead, what you should have done is there should have been two. I proposed this a long time ago, and this was kind of when I was done with Stack Overflow, because I proposed this and I actually got kind of hated on for it. But I proposed that there should be a moderation and there should be a tech bar. This was like a while ago that I proposed this. It's probably been like 8-9 years now. But there should be a moderation and a tech. So basically somebody that shares a ton of knowledge and information could get a bunch of points in the tech. But this doesn't give them the ability to moderate. These are two very different skill sets, and you should never mix them. Moderation is actually probably the more difficult. It has to deal with humans, and humans are squishy and feely, and humans don't act rationally all the time, and humans are kind of gross. And it's actually a really hard skill set, but this skill set, the ability to moderate, should have been completely devoid and separate from the ability to do tech things. And I think that they should have different rewards for this and different rewards for this. So like there's different reasons to climb those, and you could pick whichever one you want to climb. This was their big mistake because they got tech nerds that were jerks that moderated. And that's what it was. I really think that was their one mistake. Don't get me wrong, there could be other mistakes, but I think that was the biggest mistake that they ever made, was the fact that they tied moderation to answering how to print a new line in Python. Because that person got 1,000 upvotes because a lot of noobs did it. Okay, that was their other mistake. So they did two mistakes, but that's fine. Two mistakes. But yeah. This survey is a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for getting distracted. That's just what it reminded me of. I really wish they hadn't tied moderation. That's it. That's the end of my TED Talk again. I need to deactivate. Look, okay, you know what I'm going to do? Next stream, no Nightbot. Nightbot really has only ever gotten in the way of us at this point, and we don't have bad actors. And once I have bad actors, we'll reactivate Nightbot. You know what? And I'll threaten the bad actors with making either the Grey Hatter or Russell a mod. You don't want that. Like, stay in line, or Russell might be a mod. Do you want that? I don't think you do. Nobody wants that. Even Russell doesn't want that. Russell actively doesn't want that. Next stream, 2,000 bots plugging best viewers. Oh gosh. Hopefully not. While developers have explored many large language models. Okay, so let's just read this. Which large language models for AI tools have you used for development work in the past year, and which would you like to use in the next year? Gemini. So everybody's used ChatGPT. This one actually kind of makes sense. This is their first flow model that has made sense. Fantastic. Everybody has used this. People really want to use Gemini reasoning. Now, I have to say, I'm going to really put the metal to the pedal with Gemini in the AI games. They've been making improvements, so we'll see if it's less dented. I do feel like Claude gets a lot of love. People like Grok? I don't think so. I actually think the Quinn models get less love than they should. I've been playing around with the Quinn models locally. We actually, when we were doing the fine-tuning, we actually find our best fine-tuning model was of a Quinn model. So, I mean, now that might be because I didn't have a GPU that could handle the meta, the llama, even the small ones. It just didn't like it. And I had to like really dent them in to make them work, but maybe that's why. Gemini Flash sucks. Nobody likes Gemini Flash. Nobody. Okay, there are 3,000 people that want to use Gemini Flash, but they're going to learn the hard way that everybody wants to get off Gemini Flash. Code documentation and collaboration tools. We're mixing things again. Don't do it. Google Collab. They're going to kill Google Collab. It's not big enough. So don't get on Google Collab because that's going away. I don't have any inside information. I love that the fact that people like Markdown. I think that this is so cool. Oh, wait. This is GitHub. This is Markdown. Both are great. I do like GitHub. I love the love of Obsidian here. I actually think that Obsidian could be better than I'm using it as. Like, I commit these to a Git repo, but it's not really collaborative. We could do it a little bit more collaborative as a we could collaborate as a community a little bit better with Obsidian, but we don't. Because I have struggled with English. Microsoft Planner. I didn't even know this was a thing. Is Google Giggles a myth? I don't know. All those roads lead to Obsidian. I've been really liking Obsidian. I actually pay for their one thing, even though I don't use their cloud storage, just to support them. You know, I this isn't backed by a Git repo. This right here, but yeah, I have the like the Cloud Vault stuff because it's relatively cheap and I like their software. I've heard you say that the logsec. I've been wanting to try logsec out. It's on my list of things to do. Have you been enjoying it? I think the last time I talked to you about it, you were saying that you were just starting to try to use it and we're trying to figure it out. Have you been liking it? Done. Done. We'll move on. That will be done. I'm sure that there's a package. It probably has a virus. Probably man in the middle attack, but I'm just going for it. We're going for it. I will give it a shot. The implicit linking and the bullet style. Okay. I will have to give it a try. Maybe we'll do something with it. Maybe I'll have to try. I'll have to try it. I have loved Obsidian though. I don't think you could go wrong with Obsidian, even if we end up loving logsec. Obsidian is pretty fantastic, and the fact that you can use it for free is pretty awesome. But I'm gonna give it a shot. I think you're the second person that said something about it, but yeah. I use AI tools daily. That's probably not me. I don't know. I probably do. I'm always testing them and I'm always trying to see them do something. So I probably use them. If you're talking professionally, I probably use them every other day. I've been using them some professionally to help me do some stuff, I think, a little bit faster. Although I had to write up this thing of this one thing. And I tried to use AI to help me write emails. So every once in a while I have to write emails to all engineering. And English isn't my strongest thing. So I was like, AI is going to help me do this. But then every time I try to have it help me do that, it always does it kind of dented like. And I always spend a ton of time rewriting what it's given me. And I'm not sure if it's faster or not leveraging it. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to write a mock email. Maybe we'll have to write a mock email. Wow, 50% said they use it daily. That seems like a little bit higher than I expected. There's terrible stream ideas. Has this infected? Has such a bad survey infected me with bad ideas for stream? Like, I believe possibly I'm gonna blame this survey for my bad stream ideas. That's the root of it. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hey guys, watch me write a mock email to the whole company. Woo, exciting. You know what? I'm trying to learn here. I'm trying to learn. Conversely, to usage, positive sentiment for AI tools has decreased. I've actually said this. I have said this before where people were really excited about it before they used it. And I think people are starting to get really annoyed with how many times it's like very confidently wrong. Hey guys, I just know this as a really true fact that the moon is actually purple, but it doesn't look purple because when the sun reflects off of it, the sun's rays that get reflected actually don't have the purple spectrum in them. And so it can't reflect the purple. So it's actually only reflecting the light that's there, which is only white light, because we all know that white is anyways, it lies so confidently to you and it gets really annoying. It gets like really annoying really quickly. And I think people are starting to catch on to that. I don't know. That or they stopped believing everything AI influencers on YouTube have been saying. I get really annoyed with that too. I just get really annoyed. Is this the line from Men in Black? Don't look into the flashy pen. Okay, I didn't know where you're going with that one. I have seen Men in Black. I think they came out with a second one. I didn't see the second one. More developed. This is hilarious to me. This is hilarious to me. The fact that the trust has gone down while they've actually gotten better. Like, I can tell you year over year they've gotten better because I do tests that are repeatable and they have gotten better, but people feel like they've gotten worse. And I've drawn this chart many a times where it's like you feel like it's up here because like it answered a hard question correctly and you're like, oh my goodness, this thing is so amazing. And then you realize that like every other response was so stupid, or you thought it was correct, but it was actually wrong because it had this little thing in there that was mildly hard to see. I have called this for a long, I'm pointing at the screen. I am pointing at the screen. I'm so animated. I have called this for a while. And I just, the AI models and the agents and the ways that they're doing have actually gotten a little bit better. Not amazingly, but a little bit better. Yeah. The Pew 3D. I actually think, what's this? I don't know what that is. You got a cool green thing. Okay. I've been trying to jump. It's so interesting. The outdated. Try to get an AI model right now, like especially Cursor, to use Tailwind 4. I struggle so much getting it to use Tailwind 4. It's amazingly, I can't get it to use Tailwind 4 effectively. Now, maybe in the last couple of weeks it's updated, but effectively these models won't use Tailwind 4. They will only use Tailwind 3, period. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst. In 35% of professional developers already believe that AI tools struggled with complex tasks. This year, that number has dropped. So people think that they can handle more. Oh, no. Wait. In 2024, 35% of professional engineers believe that AI tools struggled with complex. This year, that number dropped to 29. Huh. They're not counting the neither good nor bad, but they actually have this thing where they struggle really badly with multi-step. And this is just a mathematical thing. This is actually just math. So what they really struggle with is multi-step problems. So if this is the problem chain, let's say that there's a couple steps here. Oh, oops, I clicked the wrong buttons. This is the steps. And the thing is, let's say that, and they're not up there, but let's say they have a 95% chance of getting this correct. And let's say this step, they have a 90% chance of getting this step correct. And let's say they have, I don't know, a 95% to get this step correct. And let's say this step is an 80% chance. Whatever the task is, each of these steps is some percentage of a chance, because these are statistical analysis models. There is some chance that they hallucinate the right thing. And let's say this is 95%. I'm not going to do the math right now, but the fact is, this is, if this is a go, if this is good, they have another game of roulette to play. And then if they get through this one, they have another game of roulette to play. And then if this one is correct, they have another game of roulette to play. And so the likelihood that from one of these that they fail, the whole chain is bad. So if this step fails, the whole chain is bad, and you have to start over. And so they end up really struggling with these multi-step processes, anything that requires more than one step. But it's just math. Yeah, this survey, I don't know. I haven't, this is a mid survey, but I appreciate it because I'm a mid type of person. I'm very mid. Developers show the most resistance to using AI for high responsibility tasks. This makes tons of sense. And I have said this for the longest of time. I don't know. This makes so much sense. I said this about self-driving cars. So people are like, oh, I can get a self-driving car. And my question is, when this self-driving car runs into a tree, who's responsible? If you say the driver is sitting right here is responsible, then I don't want the self-driving. If I'm responsible, and this is why, like, my recommendation to any developer checking in code that they have used AI for is, you're responsible for that code. You might have used a tool to help you, but it's you. And so if you're using a tool to help you drive, you're still responsible. I'm never going to just send my kids off to soccer practice in a self-driving car without me being in it, because I'm responsible for my children. I'm responsible for the safety of the people in that car. And if I'm the person responsible for the people in the car, I might use safety features that help me drive. But until the company is willing to take the responsibility, and the company is willing to say, if this car crashes itself, we will not only pay, your mental trauma for losing your children and your car, for your car and all that. Until they're willing to do that, you'll never have a full self-driving car. It'll never be a thing. Not one that I'll use, at least. Will it be a cherry tree? Not the one I cut down. I will post pictures in Discord. I'm super happy. This tree is just gorgeous. I am so excited about making wood out of this tree. I'm sad that it fell, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I also got a really nice hickory tree that started to lean from the flooding, and it was leaning over the person's my neighbor's driveway. So I cut that one down. That one was kind of scary to cut down, because if you've ever cut a hard lean, this was about a 35 to 40 degree lean. They can do a thing called barber chair. Although hickory is a hardwood, probably wouldn't barber chair. I'm getting way into logging too much here, but that tree is also just amazing. The top I'm cutting up to do smoking with, which Sergeant Pepper is going to appreciate. The top of the cherry tree is also going into smoking. It's going to be fantastic. And then we're making some really fantastic lumber out of it. None of you care any about that. We're going to get back into this. self-driving cars won't be owned by individuals. Can be. Like I said, the responsibility has to be of the company. If it's not, it can't be self-driving. Because, again, this is all about responsibility and who is responsible for what. Right now, my engineers are responsible for everything that they do. And I will hold them as responsible for things. If they check garbage in, that was their responsibility. And I'm very clear. That's in my documentation for safely using AI code, AI tools at our company, is you're responsible. I think this is an interesting thing. I think it could be really cool at documenting code. Also, learning these are actually, of these, searching for answers, meh. Generating content, meh. Learning new concepts, meh. Documenting code is a really interesting one. I've actually found pretty good success at setting loose on a big code base I don't know and actually learning valid things about it. And I use that to learn about large code bases. So I actually think these two are actually a really cool thing. Yeah. Predictive analysis is another one. I actually think that we could make our AI so much better if we actually did Monte Carlo simulations. I actually think that our AIs could be better with just some bare basic. I should be an AI researcher. I'm giving away free content for those AI researchers to leverage. I actually think that there's like some low-hanging fruit to make these things just better, because like with the Markov chains and the Monte Carlo simulations, like you can actually predict a bunch of these things. Like this is a lot of like basic stuff. And I think you could combine that with the neural networks to either front load or offload verifying. Like basically if you had a chain that could verify the output, the probability of an output being right, you could like reprompt based off of that chain being broken. I actually think that there's a lot to do with there. Look, Meta, Mr. Zuckerberg, if you'd like to throw 200 million at me to have me come live somewhere else to do that, experiment with that, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to. The biggest single frustration, 66% of developers, is dealing with AI solutions that are almost right, but not quite. Oh my goodness, is this frustrating? This is so frustrating when it's almost right, but not quite. This is where I have argued, I am not sure if engineers are actually more efficient with AI. This is why I say when companies are laying off people, I have like legitimate hard proof that they're not laying off people because they're more efficient with AI. Not from what I've seen. They're using a different AI model. They're not using Google Gemini for that. In a future with advanced AI, the number one reason developers would still ask a person for help is when I don't trust AI's answer. Oh, in the future, if AI can do most coding tasks, in which solutions would you still want another person for help? I don't understand the question. This is a bad question. Bad question. Bad question because I don't understand it. Obviously, it's bad if I don't understand it. Most respondents have not vibe. Most respondents are not vibe coding. Vibe coding is super dangerous. One of the things that we're going to do for the AI games this year is we're going to vibe code an app beforehand, and then we're going to go through and review it during the AI games. All right. This is probably all good. I'm running out of time. How long have I been streaming? Oh yeah, 2.5 hours. There's another word for that. Almost right, but not quite right is wrong. Yeah. So I think what's actually more frustrating is when it's just like dead wrong, it's really easy to spot. I think the reason it's so frustrating is that when it's almost right, but not, it tricks you into thinking. I've been in here where it makes it really hard to spot bug. It does something weird that looks kind of right. And so you don't catch it. Or it makes reading through the code really difficult because like it does stuff, but it does it in such a weird way. I don't know. I find it frustrating more than the blatantly wrong is easy. You just move on. You just move on. But when it's like, yeah, okay. I'm gonna go get a drink really quickly. I'm gonna run get a drink, and then we might skip on to work. I don't see anything else interesting here. We can go over it, but we'll look at work. I'm gonna get a drink. Be 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Back. Hey, Java Grunt. What's up? Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. Super awesome to have you all here. Dude, I didn't even think about it that way. Is anyone's favorite part of coding the code reviews? That's what AI is forcing us into. This, dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yes, I grew up in the 90s. We respond with, dude, if we agree with you. Since you're usually to blame, well, I'm blaming you for making me realize it. I'm blaming you for making me realize it. Ooh, AI agent observability and security. Developers are primarily adopting their existing traditional monitoring tools for this task, rather than adopting new AI native solutions. The most used tool for AI agent observability are staples of the DevOps. Ugh, don't call it DevOps. Grafana and Prometheus. I don't think I know that this is gonna sound really weird to you, to maybe everybody. I don't think people should be using AI in production right now. Not AI that has any ability to affect anything. If you have AI as a chatbot, that's fine. You know, an AI that chatbot that has access to your public documentation, fine. I think that right now, if you have a mature product that other people use, You cannot add AI to that right now. I do not think it is secure enough at all. In general. I know there's going to be edge cases to this, so you can bring up your edge case now if you like. But I think in general, the only thing that you can have is read-only AI. Read-only AI. And even that, you have to be careful about data leak. So a read-only AI isn't even just safe. You gotta be very, very careful here. Russell? No, I don't think so. I'm still wondering what the actual dev is in DevOps. I hate the word DevOps. Too misunderstood. All right. Okay, people are employed, employment additional status. Wait a second. Where's like the 50, 60 hours a week? Is that this? None of the above? Is none of the above your standard employment? Who wrote this survey? Who wrote this survey? You don't even have 30 to 40 hours. Oh, this is employment additional status? Never mind. Sorry. This is, oh, okay. Never mind. Deployed, self-employed, or not working correctly, currently engaged in some amount of volunteer work. Both groups indicate which of the following additional activities are you currently engaged in? Oh, okay. I misread. This is fine. So 13% of people are working 20 to 29 hours. Would you consider being a miscreant on Twitch part of this? Because I guess I could do like 10 to 20 hours, 10 to 19 hours per week of, probably like 10 hours, 10-ish. If you count this. Do people count this? Well, I appreciate that, Java Grunt. I'm just going to highlight it. Thank you. I super appreciate that. I'm hoping to be a positive force on people's lives. We'll see if I can do that. Of the top reporting countries in this year's survey, the US has the highest number of developers working remotely. 45%. 45% work remotely? Really? Dude, when I started working remote, almost no one did it. So I started working remote in 2015, 16? 2016 or 17. I started working full remote 2016 when I started to work for SUSE. And not a ton of people did it at that time. Yeah. I don't still work for SUSE now. Oh, true. Only 5,000 responded to this. Oh, for US, 33 total. I don't still work for them, sadly. You know, honestly, working for SUSE was probably my dream job. Probably my dream job. getting to work for a company that like just promotes open source and does that type of stuff, like I do think that that would be a pretty cool job. Yeah. Anyways, um, but no, sadly, I don't still work with them. But no, I'm not gonna say why. Thank you very much. We had our disagreements. I moved on. I almost went to work for Red Hat afterwards, but yeah, Red Hat wasn't going to be a dream job. This was around the time IBM bought them. So yeah, anyways. I wanted to work with airplanes. Gosh dang it. I do like where I work. Yeah, IBM is one of those companies where technology goes to die. I feel like Red Hat's done okay under them, but like for how long? For how long? When do we start seeing Intel start buying companies to continue to limp along? That's what IBM does. They limp along to buy the next company to limp along. Ooh, Intel's going to be the next one. Ooh, that hurts me. More when they say PM. Oh, people manager. Okay, okay. I always think of it as an EM for engineering manager, but that's fine. Like engineering managers usually in my experience do more than just manage people. They're not strictly people managers, but you know, you could get a strictly people manager that is a people manager and is strictly that. Engineering managers in general are a little more than that. They're usually technically savvy. I don't know if we've broken. Do I work at a company? Do we have 500? I don't know how many employees we have. The current estimate is no. But I can't give any more than that. I was looking for public information. We're probably around 500. Would be my guess. Maybe probably not 500. We're probably below 500, but close, getting close. Let's see. We're such a small company. We're such a small company. Gosh. Oh, sorry. No. I just did a Google search. That's all I did. This is one I've always complained about is you can't do all respondents because they all live in different places. Like there's places in the United States that if you were making 100,000, you'd be very, very poor. Okay, so like, yeah, this makes a ton more. I was looking at this and I was like, man, an EM making 130. Why do they have it as EM here and people manager up here? Like, keep your terms straight. Like, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. You can call it cat herder for all I care. Just call it cat herder every single time. Okay, this makes so much more sense. This actually seems a little low to me. I feel like this is a little low. Obviously, this is the medium, so again, this doesn't give you the ability to feature through country or cost of living area. Even in the United States, it fluctuates heavily. So taking the median in the United States is probably what's doing it, because you got somebody in the middle of Iowa versus somebody in the middle of San Francisco. I make less than somebody in the middle of San Francisco does. Click on UK or France. Does this look about in line with what you were thinking? In dollars, not pounds. So just translate a little. One second. We can translate this. So like 112. So this just feels kind of wrong to you, yeah? It felt kind of wrong to me as well. I don't know. The US, again, maybe a lot of the people taking this don't live in the higher cost. I can just tell you that you're not getting an engineering manager for 200,000 in Silicon Valley. Period. I've tried to hire one. That's not happening. I guess the US is kind of really broad, which may, like, I make lower, but that's because I live lower, right? I live in a place that the cost of living is lower. No, you're paying $8 for a bad one. Yeah. This is again really difficult because it's combining the whole world. The cost of living is vastly different in the whole world. So I don't. I've had this complaint with their charts before, where it's like, okay, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Good. Companies should be empowering their employees to take responsibility. This is the only way to scale, is to make teams and pods responsible for their own decisions. So awesome. I'm glad that at least 48 are doing that. Obviously not all of your endorsements are going to work out. But yeah. What makes you a fan? Okay. Easy to use API. Love that. Robust and complete API. Absolutely. Reputation for quality, cool reliability, and low latency. I like that low latency. Costs are manageable, connected to an open source project, customizable and manageable code base. That one's never really been like, I want it to be manageable because I want it to be reliable, but like, I want the effects of a manageable code base. I don't actually care that the code base is manageable, to my opinion. Good brand and public image, don't really care. AI integration, or nope, don't really care. if the tool does what it does, it doesn't need AI integration or AI agent capabilities, right? Like, not everything has to have AI agent or AI capabilities to be a good tool. Sudo. Do you want to add AI agents or AI capabilities to Sudo? I don't think so. And it's a great tool as it is. Stop this. Stop this. Don't add blockchain to Sudo either. It's a great tool as it is. It will be better when it's in Rust because it will be a little bit more secure, but we still don't need AI agents or capabilities. Security or privacy concerns. Perfect. Firebase. Everyone stop using Firebase. Prohibitive pricing, availability of better alternatives, poor usability, ineffective or time costly, outdated or obsolete technologies, ethical concerns, lack or subpar of API. This is the one I would put this up higher. I mean, security and privacy concerns is number one, 100%. This is a number two. I would swap that. Everything else is fine. Poor usability is also up there. Things like Istio are notoriously for poor usability. Developers have many tools at work, but we asked them to quantify this year. For your primary work role, excluding general operation systems like Windows or Mac and web browsers, how many direct software applications or platforms did you regularly use to create, analyze, manage, or share information in order to do your job? Please enter a whole number with no punctuation. Man, yeah, I'm probably up at 16 or 20. I mean, like, if you think about it, like, let's just go through a general one. Maybe 20. I think everybody's here and they just don't realize it. You're talking, excluding general operating systems and web browsers, how many distinct software applications? So you have your, like, Vim, you have your cursor, you have your whole tech stack, right? So, you know, you have your infrastructure as code, you have where you store your code, like Git, you have your technology to do deployments, you have possibly Kubernetes running on your cloud, you have some communication tool, probably multiple communications tool. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you have an email and you have a chat client. You probably have a third one, like video chat if you're remote. Then you have your how work gets done, like Jira. Then you have how your, like, that's just 10. I can't believe that people do 1 to 5. They didn't count everything. There is no way there's a deployment, like a people doing software engineering with 1 to 5. That's a beautiful life if you have it. It's a beautiful life if you have it. I don't believe it exists. I don't believe you counted everything. Count of tools used to work. Right. Like everything that you use to work. That means, what do you do logs and monitoring with? So do you have Grafana and Prometheus? Another 2 tools. Do you use the terminal and Bash? Another 2 tools. Like, we're probably at 51 plus on it. Like, everyone's probably 50. At least 50. Just done. It's too broad. Like, this was how people interpreted it with how they responded, right? I interpreted it with every tool other than the OS. I didn't count Linux, which seems like, why? We used a computer. And I didn't even count my mouse and keyboard. I don't know. So this is how you interpreted it. These people are saying they use Vim, they use Jira, and they use GitHub. That's all. But they didn't think about Git that was underlying that. And they didn't think about all of those things. Or their communication tools or things like that. Count of tools used to code outside of work. Oh, this is far less. I use Vim and Git and GitHub. That's it. NeoVim. I'm in the 1 to 5. Absolutely. No communication, nothing. Just me, my computer, some tears. Oh, you were auto-modded for using French words? Shame on you for using French. Shame. Now everybody, what did we learn? The cost of living is different in countries. That's what we learned from this. I think that if you're looking at these two, you've got to look at them together. Neither one of these are interesting together. And I wish that they would put by country here so we could look at country. Because, oh, wow. Only one person. Oh my goodness. Their data is so bad. This is not true. You didn't get this graph from one response. Okay, so they're just not. This is broken and wrong. Okay, whatever. The combination of these two is interesting. You could have nobody looking and everyone unhappy at work. And that would actually tell you something really interesting. That's like some metadata there. Because if everyone is unhappy but no one is looking, it means they feel really badly about the job environment, the ability to get another job, and the entire job market as a whole. It's actually a really cool indicator that you can get from that metadata. Whoa. Bad mouse. Okay. But if everybody is happy at work, but people are looking, it means that it's really, really competitive and it's really easy to find a good job that you like as well as pays you better. So this is like some really cool metadata that you can look at in these two, but you got to kind of look at them together. Happy on Friday, unhappy on Monday. Yeah, I feel that one, Future Highway. What you're understanding is there's one person. So they're 27% not happy at work, 44% complacent at work, and 28% happy at work. That's how this reads, right? You gotta. All right, I feel very strongly about this. This is true. Autonomy and trust underpin a team. And I don't just mean like your boss trusts you, but your colleagues trust in you. And if your colleagues can't trust you, it's bad for them and you. So building a team that can trust itself, can trust each other is super important and super huge. I think like this is one of the biggest things that your middle management needs to help your engineering managers work with and do, because like building a highly autonomous and trusting team is like their number one priority, and it's hard to do. I don't think pay and benefits go to satisfaction as much. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to underpay people or anything like that. I don't think that paying them another $10,000 a year is really that big of a deal. Solving real world problems. It's not even real world problems. People want to know that their work was important and that their work like is doing good. And by that I mean like I explained that really well or really poorly. People want to know that their work has impact. And if people lose that their work is impactful, so this is like when I see people burning out the most, is when their work gets thrown away. They worked 6 months on something really hard, and then that project was scrapped. And maybe that happens to them twice. And that person will suffer burnout faster than anybody else. People want to see impact of their work. If they don't see the impact, and this is another thing where middle management and management needs to really step in, they need to make sure people see the impact of their work, because if they don't see it, it's going to lead to problems. Innovation through solving challenging and complex problems. I mean, for some people. Russell, are you saying that I have found that when people don't feel like what they're doing is making an impact, I feel like they're much more likely to burn out. That's just what I've seen. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just been my feeling. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that this is what I say, like, humans are gross, squishy things. They're all different. So, like, when you deal with people, you also have to realize that different people have different things. So when I talk to you about these types of things, it's also coming from a place of like what I have found and stress for and look for and try to help my engineers with, because I see it in a great number of people, not necessarily everybody. And that's where having really great engineering managers comes into play, because engineering managers need to be having that one-on-one where they're very focused on the needs of that individual, because the needs of individuals are different. And that's why humans are gross. That's why humans are gross. I enjoy the work I do, but in my 25 years of doing this, I've learned to completely detach my attachment from things that don't belong to detach my attachment to things that yeah. I need to get YouTube chat here too. So capability snob. Nobody in YouTube was chatting, but capability snob is. So I got to make sure. I love to see this. I love to see this. I have been preaching this for a little while. That as AI stands right now, not a threat to your job. Do we care? No. Do we care? Wait. That was really quick. We can look at it. Have a Stack Overflow account. You're asking this to people taking the Stack Overflow survey. Garbage. Move on. How long have you had a Stack Overflow account? Nobody cares. This is going to be proportional to age, because like if you're 18, you can't have had it for 15 plus years, really. I find it hard to think of an 18-year-old that has had it for 15 plus years. Somebody is lying in this data. I'm sorry. If you're 18, you got your Stack Overflow account when you were 3, please, I'd like to meet you. I would like to meet you. That is some stuff. I also need to talk to your parents. There was obviously not enough control on what you were doing. Stack Overflow is not a place where you want your 3-year-old. They might learn stuff like Python, or even worse, JavaScript. Whoa, the horrors. Your kid was indoctrinated with that garbage at a young age. Dude, did I not tell you that I didn't learn to read till I was 13 years old? That was not a joke. That was not a lie. Do you think I did anything with computers until then? I baled hay and raised cattle and goats. Yeah, that was what I did. So yeah, I was a late bloomer. You're right. You're right. I believe that this has gone up. Like the number of people that are infrequently going to Stack Overflow. I think that was their moderation mistake. Oh man, going to Merrick Counts' live YouTube and Twitch channels aren't up here on the top. Gosh dang it. That should have been on there. See you, Russell. And thanks everybody, the wonderful 14 of you that have come on here to see a madman talk about a Stack Overflow survey. Thanks everybody for joining. I super mean it. It's great to have you guys here. Oh gosh. These were converted June 25th. Interesting. But they consider a div? Are we talking about the 3-year-old? It's just an opinion. It's not easy nor difficult. Like, it's clicking a button. This doesn't make... I don't know about you guys. I was kind of disappointed in the survey. And maybe it's because I've grown older, and I used to really like the Stack Overflow survey, but I feel like the older I've gotten, the more critical I've gotten of just what usefulness it's given. Obviously, English is still not my primary language, but I've gotten a little bit more cynical about it. And I know that I'm classically the person that's cynical about everything. I was born cynical. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? What are you guys' feeling? It's possible it's gotten worse. I was going to say, Greyhatter, like, I don't have specific proof here, but like, I feel like it was better previously. Like, I have that feeling. This year, going through it, I just didn't have that feeling. Like, the questions that were asked, the ability to answer them, and like some of them were too broad, some of them were too narrow, some of them didn't have the country data where some did, and so it was just grouping everybody together. It felt rough. Yeah, Sergeant Pepper, you used to feel more excited for it as well. I was going to say, the other thing that I don't think it did very well is like the trends of people. I know like they have that one page, you know, we were looking at like the technology. A couple things. Nothing changes very much in this. And the only thing they really changed was put AI in it, which I don't know why. I don't understand that. But then also, like, not only does nothing really change a whole lot, like this seems to be a lot. What I think would be really a whole lot cooler is if they showed based off of the previous year. So like the other thing that's hard to glean from this when I'm reading it is, okay, Postgres is at 55%, but what was it last year? What are the trends? I want to see trends. I think trends are so much more important. If last year it was at 45% and the year before that it was at 40%, I can say that Postgres has a pretty good trend. But what if the trend was at 57% last year? That is way more meaningful information than that Postgres was 55.6% right now, right? And they don't put any of that trend data, but that trend data would be so much more useful than this. And obviously I can go back and look through it, but like I would love to see the trend data along with the current data, right? So that's one thing I think they could do to make this a lot better, is to show me that what's trending, what is happening as far as that goes. And I don't mean trending as in like fashion. I mean like trending as in like the people with AI and everything. I don't know. All right, my friends, family, colleagues. None of you are my colleagues. Let's raid somebody. Who should we raid? Sergeant Pepper, are you getting on? Are you getting on? Are you streaming? Can I raid you? We should raid somebody. I haven't had 10 viewers for a long time. I am in the top 10 of the bottom 20% of streamers. Oh, the 5-year-old. I get that. I get that. All right. Does anybody know of somebody good to raid? Lee Paul 3D. Lepew. I don't know where you come from, and that probably defines how you say it. I also agree. The survey is somewhat interesting, but not really enlightening. I think that's a really good sum up. Stackerville has a bit of a selection bias. I can't navigate by a capability snob. We actually talked about the selection bias, like especially when you're talking about the things like, oh, how many developers are using Stack Overflow and stuff. Well, you're asking a Stack Overflow survey, so the bias in the survey is like it bleeds through. The other thing is, I think that there's a lot of Windows developers on Stack Overflow. You say like this. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm guessing it's Pepe Le Pew. Le Pew. I'm going with that. It's probably wrong. Probably wrong. I am an expert, absolute bona fide expert at mispronouncing things. Like, hands down. There are a few that can do it better than I can. Very, very few. Experts exchange. Exactly. There's. All right. I am trying to find somebody to raid. Let me find somebody. Pew like few. Yeah. I'm saying it right. The pew. The few. The pew. I think I don't know. Look, the spoken language is not my forte. Stop. I'm trying. But I also was trying to find somebody to raid. I can't find somebody to raid. I think we're not going to raid somebody. No recommendation. You got me at French accent. My French accent is about as good as my American accent, which is not great. People keep guessing the Canadian in me. That was a complete joke that you probably wouldn't have gotten unless you've been here for a long time. So, that being said, can't find somebody to raid. Go enjoy yourselves the rest of your Sunday. Go. I hope you have a wonderful week next week. I'll see you throughout the week. I have some things to record and stream at the same time. So I will look forward to seeing you during the week some, but definitely on Friday morning and Saturday mornings like I normally do. Thanks for going through this survey and hanging out with me, you all. I appreciate seeing you all. And yeah,